Welcome to Two Witness Teaching Program. Two Witness, a Bible teaching program to change and transform people. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Let's dive into it.
Second Samuel chapter 18. Let me turn the page backward. Chapter 18, verse 1, David numbered the people that were with him and set captains of thousands and captains of hundreds over them. David sent forth a third part of the people under the hand of Joab, and Joab is a major player in the book of 2 Samuel. He's the lead general, for lack of a better word.
Captain of the host.
Okay, over David's army. A third part was under Abishai, and a third part was under Ittai, the Gittite. And the king said unto the people, I will surely go forth with you myself also. But the people answered and said, David, you will not go forth with us, for if we flee away, they will not care for us, neither if half of us die will they care for us. But now thou art worth 10,000 of us, therefore it is better that thou succor us out of the city, or help and aid us out of the city. Verse 4, Then the king said unto them, What seemeth you best I will do. And the king stood by the gate side, and all the people came out by hundreds and by thousands. And the king commanded Joab and Abishai and Ittai, saying, Deal gently for my sake with the young man, even with Absalom. And all the people heard when the king gave all the captains charge concerning Absalom. So the people went out into the field against Israel, and the battle was in the wood of Ephraim, where the people of Israel were slain before the servants of David, and there was there a great slaughter that day of 20,000 men. For the battle was there scattered over the face of the whole country, and the wood devoured more people that day than the sword devoured. Verse 9, And Absalom met the servants of David, and Absalom rode upon a mule, and the mule went under the thick boughs of a great oak, and his head caught hold of the oak, and he was taken up between the heaven and the earth, and the mule that was under him went away. So, verse 10, A certain man saw it, and told Joab, and said, Behold, I saw Absalom hanged in an oak. Well, he's hanging there, but he's not dead. And Joab said unto the man that told him, And behold, thou sawest him, and why didst thou not smite him there to the ground? Why didn't you kill him immediately if you saw him hanging there? I would have given you 10 shekels of silver and a girdle. And the man said unto Joab, Though I should receive 1,000 shekels of silver in my hand, yet would I not put forth my hand against the king's son. For in our hearing, in all the people's hearing, the king charged thee, and Abishai, and Ittai, saying, Beware that none touch the young man Absalom. Verse 13, Otherwise I should have wrought falsehood against my own life, for there is no matter hid from the king, and thou thyself wouldest have set thyself against me. Then said Joab, I may not tarry thus with thee, or I'm not going to talk about this any longer with you. He took 3 darts in his hand, and he thrust them through the heart of Absalom, while he was yet alive in the midst of the oak. And 10 young men that bare Joab's armor compassed about and smote Absalom and slew him. And Joab blew the trumpet, and the people returned from pursuing after Israel, for Joab held back the people. And they took Absalom, and they cast him into a great pit in the wood, and laid a very great heap of stones upon him, and all Israel fled every one to his tent. Now Absalom in his lifetime had taken and reared up for himself a pillar, which is in the king's dale, for he said, I have no son to keep my name in remembrance. And he called the pillar after his own name, and it was called unto this day Absalom's place. Verse 19, And Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, he said, Let me now run, and bear the king tidings how that the Lord hath avenged him of his enemies. And Joab said unto him, Thou shalt not bear tidings this day, but thou shalt bear tidings another day. But this day thou shalt bear no tidings. You're not going to tell the king we're victorious over the other armies, because the king's son is dead. And first. Now here is the second messenger coming up. Then said Joab to Cushi, Cushai, "Go tell the king what thou hast seen." Now apparently Cushai saw the Absalom get taken out. So Cushai bowed himself unto Joab and ran. He's going to go tell first the news to the king that Absalom's dead. Then said Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, yet again to Joab, "But howsoever, let me, I pray thee, also run after Cushai." And Joab said, "Wherefore wilt thou run, my son, seeing that thou hast no tidings ready?" And the tidings ready, I think, has to do with the news about Absalom. So Cushai knows about that. Let him go first. He'll reach David. He'll tell him first about his son, and then you can tell him about the victory over their other army in battle. But howsoever, he said, "Let me run." And he said unto him, "Run." Then Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain and overran Cushai, the man with the message about Absalom. And David sat between the two gates, and the watchman went up to the roof over the gate unto the wall, and lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a man running alone. And the watchman cried and told the king. And the king said, "If he be alone, there is tidings in his mouth." And he came apace and drew near. And the watchman saw another man running. And the watchman called unto the porter and said, "Behold, another man running also." And the king said, "He also bringeth tidings." And the watchman said, Methinketh the running of the foremost is like the running of Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok." And the king said, "He is a good man, and cometh with good tidings." And Ahimaaz called and said unto the king, "All is well." And he fell down to the earth upon his face before the king, and said, "Blessed be the Lord thy God, which has delivered up the men that lifted up their hand against my lord the king." So this is the news that we've been victorious, we've defeated our enemies, that general news. So verse 29, the king then says, "Is the young man Absalom safe?" And Ahimaaz answered, "When Joab sent the king's servant, and me thy servant, I saw a great tumult, but I knew not what it was." And the king said unto Ahimaaz, "Turn aside and stand here." And he turned aside and stood still. And behold, Cushai came, and Cushai said, "Tidings, my lord the king, for the Lord has avenged thee this day of all them that rose up against thee." And the king said unto Cushai, "Is the young man Absalom safe?" And Cushai answered, "The enemies of my lord the king, and all that rise against thee to hurt thee, be as that young man is." And so now David knows that Absalom has been killed. And the king was much moved, and went up to the chamber over the gate, and wept. As he went, thus he said, "O my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would God I have died for thee, O Absalom, my son, my son." So Wendy will go on to teach in chapter 19 that David seems to go beyond what is healthy and natural and gets a rebuke. But
it was told Joab, "Behold, the king weepeth and mourneth for Absalom." Remember, David's in exile. He's in Mahanaim, a totally different city. He's not in Jerusalem. The victory that day was turned into mourning unto all the people. For the people heard say that day how the king was grieved for his son. And the people gat them by stealth that day into the city, as people being ashamed steal away when they flee into battle. Verse 4, "But the king covered his face, and the king cried with a loud voice, O my son Absalom, O Absalom, my son, my son." And Joab came into the house to the king and said, here's the rebuke, "Thou hast shamed this day the faces of all thy servants, which this day have saved thy life, and the lives of thy sons and of thy daughters, and of the lives of thy wives, and the lives of thy concubines, in that thou lovest thine enemies, and hatest thy friends. For thou hast declared this day that thou regardest neither princes nor servants. For this day I perceive that if Absalom had lived, and all we had died this day, then it had pleased thee well." Now that's a sharp rebuke for a king to be getting from the captain of his host.
Oh, it sure is.
"Now therefore arise, go forth, and speak comfortably unto thy servants. For I swear by the Lord, if thou go not forth, there will not tarry one with thee this night. and that will be worse unto thee than all the evil that befell thee from thy youth until now. So king, start acting like a king again. The king arose, he sat in the gate. They told unto all the people, saying, Behold, the king does sit in the gate. And all the people came before the king, for Israel had fled, every man to his tent. Verse 9, And all the people were at strife throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, The king saved us out of the hand of our enemies, and he delivered us out of the hand of the Philistines, and now he is fled out of the land for Absalom, or because of Absalom, because Absalom was going to kill him. He had taken the throne. And Absalom, whom we anointed over us, is dead in battle. Now therefore, why speak ye not a word of bringing the king back? Verse 11, The King David sent to Zadok and Abiathar the priests, saying, Speak to the elders of Judah, saying, Why are you the last to bring the king back to his house? Seeing the speech of all Israel has come to the king, even to his house. You are my brethren, ye are my bones and my flesh. Wherefore then are ye the last to bring back the king? And say ye to Amasa, Art thou not of my bone and of my flesh? Now let's remember who Amasa is. This was the captain of the host for Absalom. Okay, this is the captain of the army who was fighting against David and his army. And what's David saying to him? God do so to me and more also, if thou be not captain of the host before me continually in the room of Joab. And he bowed the heart, verse 14, of all the men of Judah, even as the heart of one man, so that they sent this word unto the king, Return thou and all thy servants. They invited him back. So the king returned and came to Jordan. He had crossed the river. Judah came to Gilgal to go to meet the king and conduct the king over the Jordan. Now verse 16, Shimei was a Benjamite. He hasted and came down with the men of Judah to meet King David. There were 1,000 men of Benjamin with him, and Ziba, the servant of the house of Saul, and his 15 sons, and his 20 servants with him. And they went over Jordan before the king. And there went over a ferry boat to carry over the king's household, and to do what he thought good. And Shimei, the son of Gera, fell down before the king as he was come over Jordan. Now why is Shimei a little nervous here? He's the one that as King David was fleeing Absalom, as they passed by his house, he was cursing the king. He was throwing stones at him and kicking up dust. And David spared his life. Verse 19, And he said unto the king, Let not my lord impute iniquity unto me, neither do thou remember that which thy servant did perversely, the day that my lord the king went out of Jerusalem, that the king should take it to his heart. For thy servant doth know that I have sinned. Therefore, behold, I am come the first this day of all the house of Joseph, to go down to meet my lord the king. But Abishai, he answered and said, Shall not Shimei be put to death for this, because he cursed the Lord's anointed? And David said, What have I to do with you, ye sons of Zeruiah? And who are those sons? This is Abishai and Joab. And this is not the first time he said this. What have I to do with you? They're always presenting him with these ideas of let's kill this person or let's do that. And David says to them on more than one occasion, What have I to do with you? That you should this day be adversaries unto me. Shall there any man be put to death this day in Israel? For do not I know that I am this day king over Israel? Therefore the king said to Shimei, Thou shalt not die. And the king sware to him. Verse 24, Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, actually this is Jonathan's son, this would be the grandson of Saul, came down to meet the king. He had neither dressed his feet, nor trimmed his beard, nor washed his clothes from the day the king departed, until the day he came again in peace. And this appears to be evidence of mourning that this had happened to the king. It came to pass when he was come to Jerusalem to meet the king, that the king said to him, Wherefore wentest not thou with me, Mephibosheth? He remained in the city. He answered, My lord, O king, my servant deceived me. For thy servant said, I will saddle me an ass that I may ride thereon and go to the king, because thy servant is lame. Now back in chapter 16, verse 3, let me just reference that. 16 verse 3. This is when he was in exile, and we see that the servant of Mephibosheth comes to David, and he says that Mephibosheth remained in the city because he said, "Today shall the house of Israel restore me the kingdom of my father," as if he had been intending to take over the throne in David's absence. Verse 27, "He has slandered thy servant unto my lord the king. But my lord the king is as an angel of God. Do therefore what is good in thine eyes." Verse 29, the king said to him, "Why spake thou any more of the matter? I have said, thou and Ziba divide the land." Mephibosheth said unto the king, "Yea, let him take all, for as much as my lord the king is come again in peace to his own house." So just taking a very humble approach.
Great statement.
It's a very great statement. And we're going to see later, again, when there's a slaughter of Saul's descendants, that David will protect Mephibosheth and spare his life. So we see that there's nothing hanging in the air between him and David.
Nope.
Now, verse 31, we have someone else coming to David. Barzillai, the Gileadite, came down from Rogelim and went over Jordan with the king to conduct him over Jordan. Barzillai was a very aged man, even 80 years old. He had provided the king of sustenance while he lay at Mahanaim, for he was a very great man. And we read about him. He provided for David's household while he was in exile. 33, the king said to Barzillai, "Come thou over with me. I will feed thee with me in Jerusalem." Barzillai said to the king, "How long have I to live, that I should go up with the king to Jerusalem? I am this day 80 years old. And can I discern between good and evil? Can thy servant taste what I eat or what I drink? Can I hear any more the voice of singing men and singing women? Wherefore then should thy servant be yet a burden to my lord the king? Thy servant will go a little way over Jordan with the king, and why should the king recompense me with such a reward? Let thy servant, I pray thee, turn back again, that I may die in mine own city, and be buried by the grave of my father and my mother. But behold thy servant Chimham, let him go over with my lord the king, and do to him what shall seem good unto thee." The king answered, "Chimham shall go over with me, and I will do to him that which shall seem good unto thee. And whatsoever thou shalt require of me, that will I do for thee." All the people went over Jordan, and when the king was come over, the king blessed Barzillai and blessed him, and he kissed him. He blessed him, and he returned to his own place. The king went on to Gilgal, and Chimham went on with him. All the people of Judah conducted the king, and also half the people of Israel. Now the rest of the chapter finishes with the rest of Israel discovering what's happening. They come out to meet the king, and they challenge the men of Judah who had come to escort the king back. Verse 41, "Behold, all the men of Israel came to the king and said to the king, Why have our brethren, the men of Judah, stolen thee away, and have brought the king and his household and all David's men with him over Jordan?" All the men of Judah answered the men of Israel, "Because the king is near of kin to us. Wherefore then be ye angry for this matter? Have we eaten at all of the king's cost, or has he given us any gift?" 43, the men of Israel answered the men of Judah and said, "We have 10 parts in the king, 10 tribes. And we have also more right in David than ye. Why then did ye despise us, that our advice should not be first had in bringing back our king?" And the words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel.
So chapter 20, we see another insurrection right on the heels of Absalom. There happened to be there a man of Belial, and Belial just means wickedness, a man of sin, whose name was Sheba, the son of Bichri, a Benjamite. And he blew a trumpet and said, "We have no part in David. David is not our king." That's what he's declaring here. "Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse, every man to his tents, O Israel. We don't want this man for our king. So every man of Israel went up from after David and followed Sheba the son of Bichri. But the men of Judah clave unto their king from the Jordan even to Jerusalem. And David came to his house at Jerusalem, and the king took the 10 women, his concubines, which he had left to keep the house, remember, before the conflict with Absalom. And he put them in ward and fed them, but went not in unto them, didn't have a physical relationship with them anymore. So they were shut up unto the day of their death, living in widowhood. David took care of the women, but he did not continue on in a physical relationship because they had been defiled by his son. That happened as fulfillment of prophecy in front of all the people when David was in exile. So David's treating them well. He's treating them as wives, except for the physical relationship. Then said the king to Amasa, Assemble me, the men of Judah, within 3 days, and be thou here present. So David's going to take his kingdom back, and he's called his new captain, Amasa, to him to organize the campaign. So Amasa went to assemble the men of Judah, but he tarried longer than the set time which he had appointed him. Now David said to Abishai, Now shall Sheba the son of Bichri do us more harm than did Absalom. Take thou thy lord's servants, and pursue after him, lest he get him fenced cities and escape us. So before he can get well prepared and defend himself, go after him and let's take him out because he's the ringleader. And there went after him Joab's men and the Cherethites and the Pelethites and all the mighty men, and they went out of Jerusalem to pursue after Sheba. Now when they were at the great stone which is in Gibeon, Amasa went before them, and Joab's garment that he had put on was girded unto him, and upon it a girdle with a sword fastened upon his loins and the sheath thereof. And as he went forth, it fell out. And Joab said to Amasa, Art thou in health, my brother? And Joab took Amasa by the beard with the right hand to kiss him. But Amasa took no heed to the sword that was in Joab's hand, so he smote Amasa therewith in the 5th rib, and shed out his bowels to the ground, and struck him not again, so that he died. Here we see at the end of chapter 10, so Joab and Abishai his brother pursued after Sheba. 11, And one of Joab's men stood by him and said, He that favoreth Joab, and he that is for David, let him go after Joab. So now that Amasa is taken out of the way, the people can continue to follow Joab after Sheba. And Amasa wallowed in blood in the midst of the highway, and when the man saw that all the people stood still, he removed Amasa out of the highway into a field, and cast a cloth upon him, when he saw that every one that came by him stood still. So as the rest of the troops were coming and they see what happened to him, they would stop. So they dealt with him, got him off the field, got him out of the way so people couldn't see anymore, covered him up. And he was removed out of the highway. All the people went on after Joab to pursue after Sheba. Verse 14, And he went through all the tribes of Israel unto Abel, and they were gathered together and went also after him. Verse 15, And they came and besieged him in Abel of Beth-maachah, and they cast up a bank against the city. So Sheba is in a city, and Joab has come to the city and has sieged the city. And so they're building this earthen ramp to the city wall so that they can go over the city wall and get them. So that's what this means here. They cast up a bank against the city. And it stood in a trench, and all the people that were with Joab battered at the wall to throw it down. Then cried a wise woman out of the city, Hear, hear, say, I pray you unto Joab, Come near hither, that I may speak with thee. A wise woman, old woman out of the city. Verse 17, And when Joab was come near unto her, the woman said, Art thou Joab? And he said, I am he. Then she said unto him, Hear the words of thine handmaid. And he answered, I do hear, I'm listening. And she said, There were wont to speak in old time, saying, They shall surely ask counsel at Abel. And so they ended the matter. Or the lady is saying Abel has the reputation of being a city that has good advice and sound counsel. That's their reputation. So speak to me. What's the problem? You're coming, you're trying to take our city. What's the problem? Tell us. Surely we are wise and we can decide the matter. We can end this peaceably. That's what she's saying here. Verse 19, I am one of them that are peaceable and faithful in Israel. Thou seekest to destroy a city and a mother in Israel. Why will you swallow up the inheritance of the Lord? And Joab answered and said, Far be it from me that I should swallow up or destroy. I'm not out after innocent people. Okay, verse 21, the matter is not so, but a man of Mount Ephraim, Sheba the son of Bichri by name. He's the one that I want. He hath lifted up his hand against the king, even against David. Deliver him only, and I will depart from the city. And the woman said unto Joab, Behold, his head shall be thrown to thee over the wall. And then the woman went unto all the people in her wisdom, and they cut off the head of Sheba, and cast it out to Joab. And he blew a trumpet, and they retired from the city, every man to his tent, and Joab returned to Jerusalem unto the king. Now, verse 23. I'm not sure there's too much more in this chapter that's just mentioning some names and who they are and what they're doing, what their role is with David.
Anything else?
Chapter
Okay,
21.
21. We have sort of a new subject starting. There was a famine in the days of David 3 years, year after year. David inquired of the Lord, and the Lord answered, It is for Saul and for his bloody house, because he slew the Gibeonites. The king called the Gibeonites, and he said to them, Now the Gibeonites were not of the children of Israel, but of the remnant of the Amorites. And the children of Israel had sworn unto them. And Saul sought to slay them in his zeal to the children of Israel and Judah. Wherefore David said to the Gibeonites, What shall I do for you? Wherewith shall I make the atonement, that ye may bless the inheritance of the Lord? The Gibeonites said unto him, We will have no silver nor gold of Saul, nor of his house. Neither for us shalt thou kill any man in Israel. And he said, What ye shall say, that will I do for you. They answered the king, The man that consumed us, or Saul, and that devised against us that we should be destroyed from remaining in any of the coasts of Israel, let 7 men of his sons be delivered unto us, and we will hang them up unto the Lord in Gibeah, of Saul, whom the Lord did choose. And the king said, I will give them. So 7 of Saul's descendants are going to be given up. Verse 7, But the king spared Mephibosheth, Jonathan's son, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, because of the Lord's oath that was between them, between David and Jonathan, the son of Saul. But the king took the 2 sons of Rizpah, Armoni and Mephibosheth, and 5 sons of Michal, the daughter of Saul. Now, interesting, we see Mephibosheth here. It just says he was spared. But if you look at who his mother was, Rizpah, this was the son of Saul and Rizpah. This was not Jonathan's son. It was another son of the same name. And actually, Jonathan's son would have been a grandson to Saul. And then we see the 5 sons of Michal, the daughter of Saul. Well, we know that Michal married David, so their sons would be David's sons. But this actually, if you reference it with 1 Samuel chapter 18, verse 19, it's not Michal, it's Merab. And you could see that by who she's actually married to there, Adriel. So it's not Michal's sons, it's Merab's sons. So anyway, 7 sons of Saul are being delivered up. Verse 9, he delivered them into the hands of the Gibeonites. They hanged them in the hill before the Lord. And they fell all 7 together, and were put to death in the days of harvest, in the first days, in the beginning of barley harvest. And Rizpah the daughter of Ai took sackcloth, and spread it for her upon the rock, from the beginning of harvest, until water dropped upon them out of heaven, and suffered neither the birds of the air to rest on them by day, nor the beasts of the field by night. Let's just finish this. Verse 12, David went and took the bones of Saul, and the bones of Jonathan his son, from the men of Jabesh Gilead, which had stolen them, 13, he brought them up from thence, the bones of Saul and Jonathan. 14, the bones of Saul and Jonathan he buried in the country of Benjamin in the sepulchre of Kish his father. They performed all that the king commanded, and after that God was entreated for the land. Let's finish this chapter. Verse 15, moreover the Philistines had yet war again with Israel, and David went down, and his servants with him, and fought against the Philistines, and David waxed faint. Now he's getting older here, David is. And Ishbi-Benob, which was of the sons of the giant, the weight of whose spear weighed 300 shekels of brass in weight, he being girded with a new sword, thought to have slain David. But Abishai succored him, helped him, and smote the Philistine and killed him. So Abishai saves David in battle. And the men of David swear unto him, saying, Thou shalt go no more out with us to battle, that thou quench not the light of Israel. So this is David's last battle. They will fight for him on his behalf, but he's not strong enough to continue. 18, it came to pass after this, there was again a battle with the Philistines, and we see another giant was killed. Verse 19, there was another battle with the Philistines. Bethlehemite slew the brother of Goliath the Gittite, the staff of whose spear was like a weaver's beam. There was yet another battle. There was a man of great stature that had on every hand 6 fingers, and on every foot 6 toes. Interesting. 24 in number, and he also was born to the giant. And when he defied Israel, Jonathan, the son of Shemiah, the brother of David, slew him. These 4 were born to the giant in Gath, and fell by the hand of David and the hand of his servants. So we see God was with them.
Absolutely. Okay, we're in chapter 22, verse 1. And David spake unto the Lord the words of this song. And song means psalm. We're going to find out that this chapter sounds very much like the psalms that David had written in another book. And he spake the words of this song in the day that the Lord had delivered him out of the hand of his enemies and out of the hand of Saul. And we'll go through quite a bit of this chapter. It's really good. He said, The Lord is my rock, my fortress, my deliverer. God has all my faith, all my trust. I'm not looking to do things by my own hand. I'm relying on Him. That's where my confidence is. He's my rock that I'm built everything on. All my eggs are in His basket. I'm not keeping any eggs in any other baskets. The God of my rock, in Him will I trust. He is my shield. He's the horn of my salvation, and when you see horn, it means power. He's the power of my salvation. He's my high tower, my defense, and my refuge, my Savior, my deliverer, and He saves me from violence, or anyone who would want to do me harm or sin against me and hurt me. Verse 4, I will call on the Lord, who is worthy to be praised, and so I will be saved from my enemies. Not I will build up massive armaments, not that I will enlist the help of Egypt or anything else. I will call upon the Lord, and so I will be saved from my enemies. And that's how it worked for David. Verse 7, in my distress I called upon the Lord, and I cried to my God, and He did hear my voice out of His temple, and my cry did enter in His ears. Then the earth shook and trembled, and the foundations of heaven moved and shook, because He was wroth. And there went up a smoke out of His nostrils, and fire out of His mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. He bowed the heavens also, and came down, and the darkness was under His feet. He rode upon a cherub, and did fly, and He was seen upon the wings of the wind. He made darkness pavilions round about Him, dark waters and thick clouds of the skies. Through the brightness before Him were coals of fire kindled. And all of this is spiritual talk about how God has come and saved him every time and used whatever answer He needed to resolve any problem that he was having and help him to defeat all his enemies. And the Lord thundered from heaven, and the Most High uttered His voice, and He sent out arrows and scattered them, who, my enemies, lightning and discomfited them, or broke them up and destroyed them all. Verse 18, He delivered me from my strong enemy and from them that hated me, for they were too strong for me. David's confessing, I couldn't have done it. I had to rely upon God, and God is taking care of these, my foes. Verse 20, He brought me forth also into a large place, prospered me, brought me in a place of freedom and liberty. He delivered me because He delighted in me. Very interesting, because He delighted in me. Why? Why did God delight in David? The Lord rewarded me righteousness according to the cleanness of my hands. Here we see David saying this. It wasn't a fake righteousness. It was real. He was obedient to God. He was doing what was right. He hath recompensed me according to the cleanness of my hands. For I have kept the ways of the Lord, and have not wickedly departed from my God. For all His judgments were before me, and as for His statutes, and I did not depart from them. I was also upright before Him, and have kept myself from my iniquity, kept myself from sin. Therefore, or because of this, the Lord has recompensed me according to my righteousness, according to my cleanness in His sight. Verse 26, With the merciful thou wilt show thyself merciful, and with the upright man thou wilt show thyself upright. And with the pure thou shalt show thyself pure, and with the froward, or the wicked, the sinful, thou wilt show thyself unsavory. Verse 29, For thou art my lamp, O Lord, and the Lord will lighten my darkness. For by thee I have run through a troop, by my God have I leaped over a wall. As for God, His way is perfect. The word of the Lord is tried, or it's tested. It's been proven. God's word is solid. He is a buckler or a shield to all them that trust in Him. For who is God save the Lord? There's none. Who is a rock? Anything we can really trust in, have faith in, save our God? None. God is my strength and power, and He maketh my way perfect. He's perfect, and He makes my way perfect when I follow Him and obey Him. He makes my feet like hinds' feet, and sets me up on high places. David says, He taught my hands to make war, so that a bow of steel is broken by my arms. It's God that prospered me and caused me to have all these victories. Thou hast also given me the shield of thy salvation, and thy gentleness hath made me great. Thou hast enlarged my steps under me, so that my feet did not slip. I have pursued my enemies and destroyed them, and turned not again until I had consumed them. Let's go on down. Verse 41, Thou hast given me the necks of mine enemies, that I might destroy them that hate me. They looked, but there was none to save them. Even unto the Lord they looked, but He answered them not. Why? Because they weren't righteous. David was. It says God works the same way with all people, not a respecter of persons. Then I did beat them as small as the dust of the earth. I did stamp them as the mire of the street, and did spread them abroad. Thou also hadst delivered me from the strivings of my people, and hast kept me to be head of the heathen. A people which I knew not shall serve me. So the strivings of the people, those that were not serving God, even of His own people, God kept David from, preserved him from, and also those other Gentile nations that had to pay tribute to him because David was ruling over them. He's saying, God, you have caused me to be over all the people. Strangers shall submit themselves to me as soon as they hear. They shall be obedient unto me. Strangers shall fade away, and they shall be afraid out of their close places. The Lord liveth, and blessed be my rock, and exalted be the God of the rock of my salvation. It is God that avengeth me, and brings down the people under me, and that bringeth me forth from my enemies. Thou hast also lifted me up on high above them that rose up against me. And again, thou hast delivered me from the violent or the unrighteous wicked man. Therefore I will give thanks unto thee, O Lord, among the heathen. I will sing praises unto thy name. He is the tower of salvation for his king, and he showeth mercy to his anointed, unto David and to his seed forevermore.
Now in chapter 23, we jump ahead. It starts with, these be the last words of David. David the son of Jesse said, and the man who was raised up on high, the anointed of the God of Jacob, and the sweet psalmist of Israel said, the Spirit of the Lord spake by me, and his word was in my tongue. The God of Israel said, the rock of Israel spake to me, he that ruleth over men must be just, ruling in the fear of God. And he shall be as the light of the morning when the sun rises, even a morning without clouds, as the tender grass springing out of the earth by clear shining after rain. Now, verse 5, let's read it through. Although my house be not so with God, yet he hath made with me an everlasting covenant, ordered in all things and sure. For this is all my salvation and all my desire, although he make it not to grow. So David is saying, this is how it is, and don't I even see this happening in my own house, in my own kingdom, and in my own rule? Let's go down to verse 8. This is going to be a list of many of the mighty men whom David had. There was the Tachmonite, chief of the captains, Adonai the Eznite. He lifted up his spear against 800 who he slew at one time. Now what soldier can slay 800 men at one time if the Lord is not with him? Verse 9, Eleazar, one of the three mighty men with David when they defied the Philistines that were gathered together to battle, and the men of Israel were gone away. He arose and smote the Philistines until his hand was weary, and his hand clave unto the sword. And the Lord wrought a great victory that day, and the people returned after him only to spoil. Verse 11, there was Shammah. The Philistines were gathered together into a troop, where was a piece of ground full of lentils, and the people fled from the Philistines. But he stood in the midst of the ground and defended it, and slew the Philistines. And the Lord wrought a great victory. Verse 13, 3 of the 30 chief went down and came to David in the harvest time unto the cave of Adullam, and the troop of the Philistines pitched in the valley of Rephaim. And David was then in a hold, and the garrison of the Philistines was then in Bethlehem. And David longed and said, oh, that one would give me drink of the water of the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate. And now he spoke this, probably thinking, wouldn't this be so wonderful? Not thinking someone would actually attempt to do it. The 3 mighty men brake through the host of the Philistines, and drew water out of the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate, and took it and brought it to David. Great sacrifice on their part, great risk. Nevertheless he would not drink thereof. He poured it out unto the Lord. And he said, be it far from me, O Lord, that I should do this. Is not this the blood of the men that went in jeopardy of their lives? Therefore he would not drink it. These things did these 3 mighty men. 18, we have Abishai, the brother of Joab, was chief among 3. He lifted up his spear against 300 and slew them, and had his name among 3. So he's speaking overall of 37 mighty men, and then he speaks of 30 who were especially mighty, and then 3 who were especially close to him. 20, Benaniah. He had done many acts. He slew 2 lion-like men of Moab. He went down also and slew a lion in the midst of a pit in the time of snow. And he slew an Egyptian, a goodly man. And the Egyptian had a spear in his hand, but he went down to him with a staff, and plucked the spear out of the Egyptian's hand, and slew him with his own spear. And then the rest of the chapter is a list of these men, and 39 ends with Uriah the Hittite. He was one of David's mighty men.
Chapter 24. And again the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he moved David against them to say, go number Israel and Judah. Now God had told David not to number Israel, not to take a census of their warriors, because he didn't want them to trust in their numbers. He wanted them to trust in God. This first verse, we need to go elsewhere to get the full story on what's happening here. If you just look at this verse and you look at that pronoun, I said the Lord's anger was kindled against Israel, and he moved David against them. Well, who's he? He, in English, we take for our pronoun, we go back to the last noun. So in English, we would go back and say, oh, well, God moved David to number Israel. Not true. And we need to go to another reference to find out where this came from. 1 Chronicles 21:1. And we'll be studying that later, but we need to go there now to make sure we understand this story correctly. 1 Chronicles 21:1 says, "And Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number Israel." So this is nothing out of the ordinary. It's a temptation from Satan. So Satan is the noun that should be inserted for that pronoun. Satan tempted David. David went for the bait. He numbered Israel and Judah. Verse 2, "For the king said to Joab, the captain of the host, which was with him, Now go through all the tribes of Israel, from Dan to Beersheba, and number ye the people, that I may know the number of them." Now, here's Joab. He's not a godly man. He says unto the king, "Now the Lord thy God add unto the people, how many soever they be, 100-fold even, and that the eyes of my Lord the king may see it. But why doth the Lord the king delight in this thing?" Verse 4, "Notwithstanding the king's word prevailed against Joab and against the captains of the host." So the king wouldn't listen to Joab and others who were telling him not to do it. "And Joab and the captains of the host went from the presence of the king to number the people of Israel." So they take this census. Verse 8, "When they had gone through all the land, they came to Jerusalem at the end of 9 months and 20 days. And Joab gave the sum of the number of the people unto the king, and there were in Israel 800,000 valiant men that drew the sword, and the men of Judah were 500,000 men." So here we go. Bing. Now it sets in. David's committed this sin now. Now his heart, he was smote in his heart after that he had numbered the people. "And David said unto the Lord, I have sinned greatly in that I have done. And now I beseech thee, O Lord, take away the iniquity of thy servant, for I have done very foolishly." For when David was up in the morning, the word of the Lord came unto the prophet Gad, David's seer, or David's prophet, saying, "Go and say unto David, Thus saith the Lord, I offer thee 3 things, choose thee one of them, that I may do it unto thee." 3 forms of judgment, David, for your sin. One of these 3 things has to happen. You can choose. So Gad came to David and told him and said unto him, number 1, this is your first choice. You can have 7 years of famine come unto thee and the land. Number 2, or you can flee for 3 months from your enemies, be on the run from your enemies for 3 months, and they'll be defeating you as you're running away from them. Or number 3, that there be 3 days pestilence in the land. Now advise, or tell me the answer, and see what answer I shall return to him that sent me, which is God. And David said unto Gad, I am in a great strait, or much pressure. What should I do? I mean, he's perplexed. And this is his answer, and it shows that David has a lot of insight into the nature and character of God. "Let us fall now into the hand of the Lord, for his mercies are great, and let me not fall into the hand of man." So the Lord sent a pestilence upon Israel from the morning until the time appointed, and there died of the people from Dan even to Beersheba 70,000 men. And when the angel stretched out his hand upon Jerusalem to destroy it, the Lord repented him of the evil, or the Lord changed his mind of the judgment. God said to the angel that destroyed the people, "It is enough. Stay now thine hand," or stop the plague, stop the pestilence. And the angel of the Lord was by the threshing place of Araunah the Jebusite. And David spake unto the Lord when he saw the angel that smote the people, and said, Lo, I have sinned. Yes, David was the one that brought the opportunity for this judgment to fall upon the people. He's the one that sinned. And I have done wickedly. But these sheep, what have they done? And that's true for this instance. It's really come upon them because of David. Let thine hand, I pray thee, be against me and against my father's house. And verse 18, Gad came that day to David and said unto him, Go up, rear an altar unto the Lord in the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite. And this is where the plague stopped, where God said, that's enough. And so David, according to the saying of Gad, went up as the Lord commanded. And Araunah looked and saw the king and his servants coming toward him. And Araunah went out and bowed his face before the king, on his face upon the ground. And Araunah said, Wherefore is my lord the king come to his servant? And David said, To buy the threshing floor of thee, to build an altar unto the Lord, that the plague may be stayed from the people. And Araunah said unto David, Let my lord the king take and offer up what seems good to him. Behold, here be oxen for burnt sacrifice, and threshing instruments for other instruments, and other instruments of the oxen for wood. And these things did Araunah as a king give unto the king. And Araunah said unto the king, The Lord thy God accept thee. Thank you for offering this. And the king said unto Araunah, No, I can't take these things from you as a gift, but I will surely buy it of thee at a price. Neither will I offer burnt offerings unto the Lord my God of that which doth cost me nothing. So David bought the threshing floor and the oxen of 50 shekels of silver. And he built there an altar unto the Lord, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. So the Lord was entreated for the land, and the plague was stayed from Israel. Or God's justice, God could say, justice has now been served. The people that deserve to be judged have been judged.